With that, I am going to start the presentation and welcome everybody. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Ken Davidian. I'm Vice President for North American Operations for the International Space University. And today we're going to give you a presentation. And one second, I'm getting a pop-up here for our nice translations. Apologize for that. Anywho, hi, welcome again. My name is Ken Davidian, Vice President for North American Operations for the International Space University. And today we're going to talk about the ISU Space Studies Program 24, SSP 24 Team Project Sponsorship Opportunities. And so hopefully that's what you came to hear, and that's what you're going to hear about shortly here. I would like to say that here's a little bit about myself. I would ask that just pause the video and take a look at that if you want to see more. But basically, I've been working in the space industry for about 40 years, and I've been associated with ISU in some way, shape, or form since 1989. Anyways, but today what we're going to do is we're going to talk about the ISU SSP team projects. We're going to introduce you to the 4 TPs for SSP 24, and we're going to then talk about spending most of our time on sponsorship opportunities and other sponsorship opportunities for SSP 24. But first, what I want to do is to show you what this presentation is not. So this presentation is not an introduction to the International Space University, nor is it an introduction to the SSP itself. So if you're interested in those topics, and if that's what you came for, number one, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on there, but if you would like to, you can go to this QR code and that will direct you to the ISU North American YouTube channel. And on that channel, you'll find the 2 videos shown above, one that is an introduction to the International Space University and the other an introduction to the SSP and SSP 24. So if you need more information on that, I would suggest you go to those videos. If you're watching this on video, pause here, go watch those videos if you need to, and then please come back. In any case, we're not going to be spending much time talking about ISU or the SSP specifically. We're going to be talking about the TPs that are coming up for SSP 24 and the sponsorship opportunities for those TPs. So anyways, here we go. Let's get started. Let's tell you about the SSP 24 team project sponsorship opportunities. And you can see I've created some fancy badges for each of the TPs, and we're going to talk about each of those to a little bit. We're going to give you a brief description of each and a brief statement of work, basically what the goals of each TP are and how we plan to achieve those goals, at least in terms of our current thinking. The 4 TPs for SSP 24 are listed there. The first is called Space Technologies for Smart Transportation and Mobility. The second is called Mars Forward Capabilities of the Gateway Lunar Space Station. The third is Disabilities and Astronauts. And the fourth is Environmental Sustainability Assessment of Space Projects and Ventures. Now, these titles are, I don't want to say they're working titles, but they may show up in different forms, and we'll probably abbreviate them in our discussions coming up today and in the future. So, but in general, these are the 4 topics. And after we give a brief description and discussion of the statement of work of each, then what we're going to do is spend majority of our time on the sponsorship details for the TPs, the team projects, but also for SSP program and SSP scholarships. So let's get started. So first, what is a TP? And basically, I like going through the who, what, where, when, why, and how. So a TP is a project that is worked on by 20 to 30 or so SSP participants, representing all disciplines. Now, if you watch that intro to ISU video, you'll learn about the 7 disciplines of ISU. They include space physical sciences, life sciences, engineering, policy and law, business and management, satellite applications, and humanities. So a TP is 20 or to 30 people that represent all those 7 disciplines. While they're on site at the SSP, the Space Studies Program, which is taking place this year, by the way, in Houston, Texas, they're going to be working on these TPs. And as you saw, there are 4 TPs this year. There's typically 3 to 4, or maybe even more, depending on the number of participants that are conducted every year at the SSP. So this is the basis, the TP is the basis for group activity. And in fact, it's a major component of the SSP curriculum. The first third approximately of the program is spent on core lectures. The middle third approximately is spent on departmental activities, and approximately the final third is spent on the team project. Now, That's not to say the team project is not worked on at all during the first and second thirds of the program. In fact, the students organize and they start assigning roles during the earlier portions of the SSP, but a majority and the fundamental, the way they spend their time during the final third of the program is on the team projects. And the team project will result in a final report and a presentation. Like I said, it's introduced at the beginning of the SSP, and it's the main focus of activity during the final third. And the purpose of doing this is to provide a comprehensive multidisciplinary study on whatever the topic is that is selected there. Now, participants incorporate research, current events, and their own personal experience coming from their disciplinary perspective to produce this final report. And ultimately, the TPs are produced through the support of sponsors, and soliciting those sponsors and trying to find organizational institutional sponsors for the TPs is the major goal of this presentation. So there are a lot of reasons why we do TPs, and some of the major benefits are that we study topics that are relevant to the global space community and can be submitted by sponsors. These TP subjects, ultimately, if they're submitted by a sponsor and they come with funding, then they can be worked on and developed with ISU Academic Council and the ISU administration to develop a TP subject that would be worked on. In this case, we have 4 topics and we're looking for sponsors. So it's the process, it was turned on its head a little bit, but we're looking for sponsors for these very, very important topics. And each of the topic reports benefit from ISU's 3I approach. Again, if you're not familiar with the 3 I's, I recommend you go watch that introductory video, but the 3 I's are basically international, interdisciplinary, and intercultural. So each TP not only benefits from the students' input to create an innovative and multidisciplinary solution, but they also develop teamwork skills and gain expertise in problem solving, presentation, negotiation, time management, and again, working in an international and interdisciplinary environment. ISU is always looking for relationships that span more than a single year. And if an organization wishes to develop a relationship with ISU to support TPs over multiple years, negotiable terms for continuing institutional support are absolutely possible. Let us know. I'll mention, by the way, that my contact information was provided on the first slide. I'll provide it on the last slide as well. And if you have questions after the date of this webinar, you're absolutely invited to send me questions, and I'll pass those questions along to folks, the appropriate folks at the appropriate time. So I want to make sure I mention that. So now let me describe each of the TPs and then talk about the statements of work of each, how we're planned to achieve the goals of each TP. So the first one we're going to talk about is smart transportation and mobility. So the major goals are to enhance urban mobility by using space data, coming up with eco-friendly solutions that will increase the efficiency of public transportation systems, waste management systems, and the sharing economy, the facilitating bike and car sharing services within the transportation system, and also integrating technologies across the board to help us with that, and to ultimately achieve smoother, cleaner, and more efficient urban mobility. So that's what the Smart Transportation and Mobility Project wants to achieve. So the way they're going to do it is by defining smart transportation, reviewing space-related technologies, and doing a case study review to see how smart technologies are being implemented in smart cities now. Again, as I mentioned before, I'm not reading all the words on each slide, because I do want to go through a lot of material, but please feel free later on, once this video is posted, to pause and to read the slides at your leisure. So TP number 2 is called the Lunar Gateway Capabilities for Mars. And so, like I said, it's got a longer title, but we shorten it sometimes to different phrases. So the goals of the Lunar Gateway TP are to, number 1, to identify, show what the Gateway space station is, and show how it can be used as a stepping stone for missions and different journeys to Mars. It's a place where astronauts live and work, and so what we want to do is identify that and identify ways that they can utilize this space, and then identify technology needs that will be essential for operations and experiments as we move from the moon and start moving toward Mars. And also we're looking for ways to ensure that Gateway has a strategic importance toward achieving those Martian exploration goals. So the way we're going to do it is reviewing the Moon and Mars architecture, assessing sustainable usage of the Gateway, summarizing different ways that Gateway's role can facilitate Mars exploration and journeys, identify gaps in the technologies or in objectives, try to envision other future Mars missions that might identify other gaps that need to be fulfilled to accomplish those missions. We want to look at space and human science priorities and review the different commercial opportunities that might be able to support this activity as we move from the moon and go on to Mars, and then also address ethical and legal issues that might come into play here. So this is, again, a lot of information here, and I just want to briefly go over what these topics are. But again, you're more than welcome to later pause the video and to just read all the words on the script. The third TP is disabilities in astronauts, and this is a very timely topic. It's ways to look at making space exploration and space missions more inclusive. There's been some activity from the European Space Agency's front in this area. The point of this TP is to explore that topic further, looking at what technology adaptations need to be made or new technologies need to be developed to help break the barriers that challenge the traditional definition or requirements for an astronaut that allow it to not only increase the level of inclusiveness, but also the level of diversity of astronauts in space. So it's always a good thing. So that's what we want to do. And the way we're going to do it is by identifying and developing a selection framework, comparing job requirements and disabilities and seeing how they fit or don't fit together, identify and address the equipment roadblocks that might come into play with this activity, and then ideate and think about and try to develop a system of technologies that will help facilitate this level of inclusiveness. And then figure out a way to develop strategies that, allow inclusive recruiting so that a larger pool of candidates can be identified to help, select future astronauts. And the fourth TP is called Space Environmental Sustainability. This is where we're working to identify the eco-friendliness and ensure the eco-friendliness of space missions, what's involved with environmental assessments, and other activities such as space debris mitigation and management. How can these type of missions support climate studies to enhance the understanding of Earth's climate and figure out ways for sharing space advantages in a fair and equitable way across the globe. Look for sustainable practices that we can apply to current and future space missions, and then in some possible way, future-proofing space to make sure that it is a sustainable space for exploration and utilization long into the future. So to achieve those goals, we are looking to develop a standardized review process during this TP process. We'll look to implement sustainable methodologies. We want to identify the ways that we can maximize the stewardship of impact reviews and those processes. We want to promote equitable access through this TP. We want to understand what's required in auditing and the public standards of missions to ensure their space environmental sustainability. And then again, finally, to support the ethical development of space, we want to look at what's involved with that. And the way, so that's how we're going to achieve those goals. So as you can see, the team projects are very involved. They're focusing on current topics of interest, and it's going to be very interesting to see how the results of the projects are, how they come out based on a multidisciplinary perspective, based on the disciplines that I mentioned earlier. So now getting to the meat of the presentation, I want to talk to you a little bit about the sponsorship opportunities here, and what are the benefits of the sponsorship opportunities. So for a TP, when you sponsor a TP, basically the sponsorship is helping to foster creativity, collaboration, and critical thinking amongst the participants of that TP. They're going to be working to tackle cutting edge problems in science, technology, exploration, and the 7 disciplines that I mentioned earlier. We try to inspire in the participants a sense of ownership and responsibility for this topic. And sponsoring a TP means that you have the ability to help shape the goals and the process by which the TP analysis is conducted within certain constraints. TPs are really interesting, and sometimes students love the subject so much they end up working on it multiple times throughout their career in different ways, shape, and form. So it really does follow participants throughout their career in some cases. So the sponsorship opportunities for TPs are broken into 3 categories. We call them planetary, stellar, and galactic at the 30K, 50K, and 70K level. So at the 30K, well, at all levels, the organization that's sponsoring the TP will get their name and logo on the ISU TP website, inside the program handbook. There'll be invitations sent to the program, to the opening ceremony. The logo and name will be on the TP final report, and it'll be in the TP final presentation. And also, it will be included on conference papers and other presentations that are given after the SSP. Many SSPs are reported on at the International Astronautical Congress. This year it's going to be in Milan, Italy in October. So that would be additional visibility that a TP sponsor would gain through sponsorship. So at the stellar and galactic levels, 50K and 70K levels, further benefits are included, including organizational mention in press releases and other type of media, social media outlets, and recognition at the closing ceremony. And for the galactic sponsors at the 70K level and above, you have the opportunity to have an article written or jointly written with the organization for inclusion on the ISU website and other websites that within our purview to control, maybe the organization's website. And also you'll receive a VIP invitation to a private reception during the SSP. So these, again, I would recommend that if you're watching this on video, or if you're watching it live later, watch it on video, get a copy of this, look at this slide, and so you can study it further. If you want, later on, you'll have my email address. You could send me a request, and I can send you the brochure that has all this information in it as well. So moving on, I want to talk about the scholarship sponsorship opportunities. So now scholarship sponsorship is very, very important because it allows us to lower the financial barriers for talented and really qualified participants to come to the SSP, empowering future innovators. And what this does, it makes sure that we're getting the best participants, the most talented participants at the Space Studies program. Your company will be recognized in a global event, and it will be featured in communications leading up to and during the SSP. And of course, you'll also have access to participants during the SSP. Your organization, if it's in the mode of looking for new employees or looking for new talent, the SSP is a fantastic location and pool of talent that you can look for there. And so it would be a great opportunity for your organization here. So we have silver, gold, and platinum levels of sponsorship for scholarships, anywhere from 10 to 25K, 25 to 50K, and then 50K and above. And at all the levels, there'll be invitations to distinguished lectures and astronaut panels, invitations to welcome brunch, the display of logos on the website, in the handbook, and invitations to the opening and closing ceremonies. So the number of invitations depends on the level of support, as shown in the table, but basically these are benefits that are given to all sponsors for scholarships. At the silver and gold levels, there'll be shared sponsorship of a scholarship. And so you'll be helping many, many students, not just a single one. And at the platinum level, there'll be inclusion of PR material of your organization in the welcome kit that each participant receives upon arrival at the SSP host site. And you can have a dedicated scholarship in your company's name. So there's a lot of benefit to providing scholarship sponsorships as well. And then finally, there's overall program sponsorship. And I'm going to move my big head out of the way here. I'll move it up here. Let me move my right there. Okay. So by sponsoring the program in general, this allows your organization to interact with current and future space leaders on a global scale. You get to disseminate your logo and your commercial brand and products to the ISU community, which includes approximately 5,600 alumni worldwide. You'll meet global space sector customers, partners, competitors, and collaborators. And again, you'll have access to the participant pool. You'll be able to recruit from the world's best space sector talent all in one place. It'll be the possibility, depending on the sponsorship level, to provide SSP lectures, and you'll be able to mentor participants. And again, you'll be able to gain the benefits of PR and advertising. So let me run through the table very quickly. And again, there's many, many levels of sponsorship from 5,000, 10,000, 25,000, 50,000, 75,000, and even $100,000 and above. Basically, program sponsorship at almost any level is possible. At all levels, you'll get invitation to astronaut panels and other distinguished lectures, invitation to welcome brunch, display of sponsor logo on the website and in the handbook. And that's pretty much across the board. The number of invitations will depend on the level of sponsorship, but all sponsorship levels basically will gain those benefits. From the silver sponsor on up, you'll be able to get invited to the opening and closing ceremonies. And from the platinum sponsor level on up, you'll have PR material, press release, or public relations material included in the welcome kit that all participants will receive upon arrival at the SSP. The gold and platinum sponsors will receive recognition during the sponsored program event, and you'll be able to sponsor one of the brunches, professional visits, astronaut visits, distinguished lectures, or some of the alumni weekend events. And again, there'll be some recognition during those events. From the diamond and the prime sponsor levels, there are additional benefits, including recognition on the SSP 24 poster and all promotional material, recognition as a major sponsor at host institution posts, recognition, all in the newsletters. You'll be able to give remarks. You'll be recognized in remarks on the podium at different events during the opening and closing ceremonies. Name and logo will appear on the SSP 24 t-shirt. There's always a t-shirt, and your logo will appear there. There'll be recognition during the opening and closing ceremonies, both on stage and on screen. And then finally, you'll be invited to private VIP events. The diamond sponsor will get sponsorship of closing ceremony on reception. You get to choose the sponsorship there. But for the platinum or the prime sponsor, the additional benefits include an opportunity to provide a plenary lecture or a keynote speech, recognition on the host city banner, one full scholarship for a nominated employee or sponsored individual, and then finally sponsorship of the opening ceremony. So as you can see, there's a whole host of events here that are included with program sponsorship. And if TP sponsorship or scholarship sponsorship are not fitting within your organization's sponsorship strategy, then maybe program sponsorship opportunities will fit the bill. There's a lot of great opportunities here. And so what we want to do is make sure that we get the word out and we give everybody a chance to participate. Let me move my big head over here and say that right now I've been speaking for about 25 minutes. Anybody thinking of questions after this? And after I cancel or stop the webcast, please feel free to go and send me an email at the contact information below. And thank you very much for your attention. And with that, we're going to say thank you very much and sign out. Thank you, everybody. Bye-bye.